What connects the Romanovs, Stalin, Putin, and the war in Ukraine? One word: Russia. Welcome back to Ms. Shortcut, where we dive into big stories with simple explanations. Today, we're exploring a nation that stretches across 11 time zones, shaped world wars, raced to space, and still dominates headlines: Russia. From the mighty Romanov emperors to the Cold War, from Gorbachev's reforms to Putin's power play, Russia's story is one of transformation, resilience, and contradiction. It's a tale of tsars and revolutions, rockets and oil, culture and conflict. So, buckle up as we uncover the dramatic history and global influence of one of the world's most complex countries. The Romanovs and Imperial Russia. Russia's modern history begins with the Romanovs, a royal dynasty that ruled for over 300 years. Starting in 1613, they led the rise of Imperial Russia, transforming a vast medieval territory into one of the world's largest empires. Peter the Great, one of the most influential tsars, brought Western ideas to Russia, built a modern army, and founded St. Petersburg as a window to Europe. His successors continued expanding the empire into Europe, Asia, and even North America. By the 19th century, Russia was a global force, but internally, unrest brewed. Serfs lived in poverty while nobles enjoyed privilege. In 1917, during World War I, revolution erupted. Tsar Nicholas II, the last Romanov, was overthrown and later executed with his family. This marked the end of imperial rule, and the beginning of something radically different: communism. The Soviet Union and the Cold War. After the fall of the Romanovs, Vladimir Lenin led the Bolsheviks to power, promising land, peace, and bread. In 1922, the Soviet Union was born, a federation of socialist republics, governed by the Communist Party. After Lenin's death, Joseph Stalin took over, turning the USSR into a totalitarian regime. Stalin's rule saw rapid industrialization but came at a horrific cost: famines, purges, and forced labor camps. During World War II, the Soviet Union suffered immense losses but emerged as a victor and global superpower. It occupied Eastern Europe, creating a buffer zone of communist satellite states. This marked the start of the Cold War, a decades-long standoff with the United States. The two superpowers never fought directly, but they battled through proxy wars, spies, and an arms race that included nuclear weapons. The Soviets also launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, in 1957 and sent the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space in 1961. Heightening Cold War tensions and pride. Yet, despite military might and scientific breakthroughs, the Soviet economy struggled. Strict central planning, censorship, and lack of innovation began to drag the country down. People were increasingly disillusioned, and change was inevitable. Gorbachev and the end of the USSR. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was crumbling under its own weight. Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Soviet leader, introduced two major reforms: glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. These aimed to modernize the economy and allow more political freedom. Gorbachev eased tensions with the West and signed arms reduction treaties. He pulled Soviet troops from Afghanistan and allowed Eastern Bloc countries to break away, without using force. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. In 1991, the USSR officially dissolved, ending nearly 70 years of communist rule. For many Russians, this was a time of hope and uncertainty. A new nation, the Russian Federation, was born, but it would face immense challenges in its transition to capitalism and democracy. Putin's era. After a chaotic 1990s under President Boris Yeltsin, Vladimir Putin rose to power in 1999. A former KGB officer, Putin promised order, stability, and strength. He reasserted state control over media, crushed rebellions in Chechnya, and centralized power. Under Putin, Russia's economy grew rapidly in the 2000s, fueled by rising oil prices. He projected a strongman image and positioned Russia as a counterweight to the West. But critics accuse him of eroding democracy, jailing opponents, controlling elections, and silencing dissent. Putin has served as president or prime minister continuously since 1999, using constitutional changes to extend his rule. Under his leadership, Russia has reasserted itself on the world stage, but often through confrontation rather than cooperation. Natural resources and economic power. Russia is rich in resources, especially oil, gas, coal, and minerals. It's one of the top exporters of natural gas, and its energy supplies are vital to Europe and beyond. This gives Russia enormous geopolitical leverage. During times of tension, energy exports can be used as both a bargaining chip and a weapon. However, Russia's heavy reliance on oil and gas also makes its economy vulnerable to price swings. Despite its potential in technology, agriculture, and manufacturing, the country remains resource-dependent. Corruption, sanctions, and limited foreign investment continue to hinder economic diversification. Space research. Russia's space legacy is both historic and ongoing. As the heir of the Soviet space program, Russia boasts a proud past: Sputnik, Gagarin, and the Luna missions. During the Cold War, space was a battlefield for prestige, and the Soviets led many of the early victories. Today, Roscosmos, Russia's space agency, operates missions to the International Space Station and works with partners like NASA and ESA. Russian rockets continue to launch satellites and astronauts into orbit, and new lunar and Mars missions are in development. But space ambitions are challenged by budget constraints, international sanctions, and competition from private companies like SpaceX. Still, space remains a powerful symbol of Russian pride and potential. Ukraine and geopolitical tensions. Russia's most controversial chapter in recent years is its conflict with Ukraine. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea after a disputed referendum, drawing global condemnation. It supported separatist groups in eastern Ukraine, leading to years of conflict in the Donbas region. Then in 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The move shocked the world and triggered massive sanctions, international isolation, and a surge in NATO unity. The war has caused tens of thousands of deaths, millions of refugees, and a global economic ripple effect, especially in energy and food markets. Putin claims the war is about protecting Russian-speaking populations and resisting NATO expansion. But many see it as an imperial move rooted in history and power. The outcome remains uncertain, but the war has reshaped global politics and revived old fears about European security and nuclear conflict. Russia's story is one of contrasts: grandeur and hardship, innovation and oppression, tradition and transformation. From the mighty Romanovs to the turmoil of revolutions, from Soviet superpower status to Putin's power politics, Russia continues to shape our world. Whether through energy, conflict, space exploration, or diplomacy, Russia is a nation no one can ignore. Its past is powerful, its present complex, and its future uncertain. Thanks for watching Ms. Shortcut. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp. From an island kingdom to a global empire, Great Britain ruled a quarter of the world, but what happened after the empire faded? In the next episode of Ms. Shortcut, we unravel the secrets of Britain's power, its colonial legacy, the Industrial Revolution, World Wars, Brexit, and how this small island still punches above its weight on the world stage. Don't miss it. Great Britain's story is as mighty as its name. Ms. Shortcut, your shortcut to the smartest country stories.